All right, fourth graders, today we're going to be working on the area model. We've kind of already started this a little bit before, but we're going to continue on and really understand how it works. So in your notebooks with me, I want you to draw a quick area model to represent 26 times 4. So in order to do this, we need to draw ourselves, in this case, because it's a 2-digit times a 1-digit, we're going to put our 2 digits on the top. So in this case, because we have 2 digits up here and 1 digit on the left, it's going to be a little longer on the top than on the side because we want it to represent the size of the number. So if we take 26 and we split it into tens and ones, we know our 2 is not just a 2, it's actually a 20. So we'll have our 20, and it's going to take up a bigger amount of space because it's bigger than 6. So we have 20 and 6. So we split it up into our tens and our ones and used what that place value actually, the value of the place value. So I wouldn't just put a 2 and a 6. We know our 2 is 20, so it becomes 20 and 6. On our left, we have just a 4. It's a single digit. So now what we want to do is this 4 needs to be multiplied by both numbers. So sometimes I almost think of the game Battleship, where you go over and you have coordinates that meet. So 20 and 4 would meet here. 4 and 6 would meet here. So right here, we would have 4 times 20. We know that 4 times 2 is 8. Bring back our zeros. So in this case, we would have 80. Over here, we would have our 4 times 6, which gives us 24. Now we're left with 80 and 24, but we need to add those together because both of those together would give us our total. So 80 plus 24, just add them up regularly. 0 plus 4 is 4, and 8 plus 2 is 10. So I know that 26 times 4 is 104. Now I want to ask you, how many square units of area are there in the tens part of the drawing? So I want you to take a quick second to think. What is our square units or area of our tens part of the drawing? And hopefully you know right here, here's our tens place, here's our ones place. So in our tens, the area is 80. Or 80 square units in this case. It might become square feet or square inches, or it depends on the problem, and a word problem might give you even something different. Now I want you to think about, what's the area of our ones place? Maybe take a quick second, write it down in your notebook. I know that 4 and 6 are both in my ones place, and multiplied together gives me 24. So I had 24 square units in my ones place. And then added together, our total area, we just did, is 104 square units. So we see here that the area model, it's called this because you're actually finding the area. You are actually setting up as if this was a garden or a yard, multiplying your tens, multiplying your ones, finding the area of 2 separate spaces and adding them together. So there is a reason here it's called the area model. I want to give you a quick second to make sure you have this in your notes so you can look back on it today. You need to pause the video, feel free. I want to do another area model with you guys and show you how it can relate to a word problem. So we have Al's photo album has 32 pages. Each page can hold 5 pictures. How many photos can his album hold? So first, I want you guys to come up with an equation. Keep in mind the word groups of, or in this case, pages of pictures. So if we were to go through this, we know we need to pull out our numbers. I see 32 and I see 5. And I need to underline my question, how many photos can his album hold? So I know I'm working with photos here. I'm not working with pages, I'm working with photos. How many? I also see the word each. Each reminds me of groups of. I might be splitting these, I might be multiplying these, but I know that I have 32 pages, each of those has 5 pictures. So for me, I'm starting to think, okay, I have 32 pages, each of those holds 5 pictures, or 32 groups of 5. Now we need to set up our area model. And I know that I always need to split it into tens and ones if it's a number that is multi-digit. So in this case, I have a 3 in my tens place, but I know that's not just a 3. It's 3 groups of 10, or 30. And 30 will take up a bigger space because it's greater than 2. So I know 30 plus 2 is 32. My tens and my ones, my value of my 3 is 30, got it. Over here, I have just a 5. So same thing, I'm going to multiply my 5 by both places. The number on the left has to be spread out among your tens and ones. Because if you think of when we used to do like rainbow multiplication, we would have done 5 times 30 and we would have done 5 times 2. It's the same idea, we're just setting it up in the area model. So I can write my equation in here to keep myself organized. 5 times 30 gives me 150. I know that 5 times 3 would be 15. One place value greater would be 150. And over here, 5 times 2 equals 10. So I have my area of my tens place, my area of my ones place, and now I need to add them together. 150 plus 10 is 160. So when we ask how many photos can his album hold, make sure the question's asking for photos. So make sure you answer in photos. So our answer would be 160 photos. Again, if you want to write this down, I don't think you need to write down the whole word problem, but make sure you have your work shown on your page somewhere. If you need a little bit longer time to take notes, feel free to pause the video and go ahead and take your notes. But you want to make sure you have this written down in your notebook somewhere. So I want to show you kind of taking the area model away, what this would look like, just like we were talking about. So let's start with 3 times 28. There's a couple different ways we could do this. We know our 2 is not just a 2, we know it's a 20. So we could do 3 times 20 equals 60. And then 3 and then multiply our ones. 3 times 8 is 24. If I add them together, I get 84. So if you look at this, you're just distributing the 3. what you're doing is this 3 needs to be multiplied by everything coming after it. It's 3 times 20 and 3 times 8. If I was to turn this into an area model, same idea, the 3 needs to be multiplied by everything. I know my 2 is worth 20 and 8. So same idea, if you see how this distributive property is taken into the area model here. The 3 has to be multiplied by both our 10s and our 1s. And again, this is going to look pretty familiar because it's exactly what we just did. I would add this to your notes today too, to see how we can break it up right here and do our partial products, and we can do our area model. It's funny because you would think partial products and area model, they sound like 2 different strategies, but in both of these, you're splitting it up into your values of your 10s and your value of your 1s, and then you're adding it back together to find your total. It just looks a little bit different. It's laid out a little bit differently, but you'll notice the area model gets really handy, especially when our numbers start to get a lot bigger. It helps keep it organized and it helps us really visualize what's in front of us. So today you will be seeing both partial products and area model. And you will also be seeing some word problems. So I'm going to do one last one for you. A bike costs $53. It's a pretty cheap bike. If I have a lot of friends, so I buy 7 bikes. How much is the total cost? So again, I want to make sure I pull out my numbers. I see 53 and I see 7. And it's not saying I spent $53 on 7 bikes. Then I'd be dividing. A bike costs $53 and I'm buying 7 of them. So 7 groups of $53, right? Or 7 bikes at $53 each. So I'd have 7 bikes times a total of $53 each. And that each is telling me groups of. How much is the total cost? Okay, well, I know one of them is $53, so I have to figure out how many 7 would be. And today you can try both strategies. You could do your partial products. Either way, you have to split it up into 10s and 1s. Again, this is not just a 5. Use your place value. It's 5 10s, which would be 50. And 3 1s, which would be 3. So if you want to do your partial products, you could do 7 times 50. And again, 7 times 5 is 35, but it's 1 power of 10 greater, so it's 350. And then 7 times 3 gives me 21. And I can add them together for a total of $371. And you can take this same strategy into your area model, knowing that it's still split into 50 and 3. It doesn't matter which model you use. And 7. And then I need to find the area of both shapes, just like I'm finding the area of a garden. 7 times 50 gives me 350. 3 times 7, 21. Hey, guess what? I have the exact same answers and I can add them up for the same total. So today your big focus is keeping in mind place value, knowing that it's groups of 10 in the tens place. It's not just a 5, it's 5 groups of 10. And then also keeping in mind today that we will split everything up in between 10s and 1s using the value. So if it's in the 10s place, it's groups of 10. If it's in the 1s place, it's 1s. And knowing that this single digit needs to be multiplied by both.